tracking in one. It's Ty Gibbs into the wall.
I think that's the 88 of SVG also involved.
Armendinger, the 16.
Shane Van Gisbergen came into Las Vegas riding a wave of momentum. His oval game was rapidly improving, his confidence was high, and his team rolled into the desert with a car that looked ready to contend. But what started as a potential career best day ended in disaster. And the ripple effects of that brutal crash might be worse than anyone expected. Just weeks ago, Shane Van Gisbergen earned his first ever stage points on an oval track at New Hampshire. Then at Kansas, he broke through with a top 10 finish, his first on a non-road course. For a driver known for dominating street and road circuits, this was a big deal. And it signaled something important. SVG wasn't just a road course ringer. He was evolving into a true all-rounder in NASCAR. By the time the series returned to ovals at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Van Gisbergen had 5 wins under his belt for the season, all on road or street tracks. But fans and analysts were watching closely. Could he finally deliver a top-tier finish on a high-speed oval? From the start, things looked promising. SVG showed up to Vegas with more than just speed, he brought pride. His number. 88 Chevy featured a striking New Zealand-themed paint scheme, complete with silver ferns and tributes to his homeland. It was personal. And for a moment, it looked like this symbolic gesture was going to match an equally powerful performance. Qualifying 13th, Van Gisbergen outpaced his Trackhouse Racing teammates Ross Chastain and Daniel Suarez. That alone turned heads. On race day, despite slipping 6 positions early, he quickly regained ground and ran as high as 8th during Stage 2. His crew reported good feedback, and SVG himself called the car a rocket ship. By the end of Stage 1, he had clawed back to 12th. In Stage 2, he stayed consistent and crossed the line in 11th. He wasn't just surviving the oval, he was thriving. Throughout the race, he fought his way forward using smart lines and clean passes, showing a maturity in oval racing far beyond his experience level. Heading into the final stage, Van Gisbergen restarted 9th, but an air pressure tweak made during a pit stop turned out to be too aggressive. SVG quickly fell back to 16th, radioing that the car was bloody tight and completely different. Still, his team adjusted again, and after green flag stops cycled through, he found himself back in 15th. The car had come back to life, but the biggest moments were still ahead. With just over 30 laps to go, William Byron slammed into the back of Ty Dillon, who had slowed to pit, triggering a caution. It was a sudden and violent incident that changed the strategy for nearly every frontrunner. Sensing an opportunity, crew chief Stephen Doran made a bold call. 2 fresh right-side tires only. The gamble vaulted SVG into 6th for the restart. It was a high-risk move that, if it had worked, could have rewritten SVG's oval legacy in a single afternoon. The field came to green with Briscoe and Logano on the front row, with Keselowski, Larson, and SVG behind them. It should have been a defining moment. Instead, it became a disaster. As the field bunched up 3 wide, Ty Gibbs shot up the middle behind Alex Bowman, while Christopher Bell dove to the inside of SVG. The spacing disappeared. As Bell was squeezed, he clipped Gibbs, who veered straight into Van Gisbergen. SVG's number, 88, was sent spinning across the track, straight into the path of oncoming traffic. Austin Dillon and teammate Ross Chastain both collided with him, followed by Carson Hocevar. The crash destroyed multiple cars and brought out a lengthy caution. SVG's day was over, his car heavily damaged and unrecognizable. He was credited with a 33rd place finish. It was a brutal end to what could have been a breakthrough moment. After being released from the infield care center, Van Gisbergen addressed the media. "Frustrating end to the day," he said. "My 88 jockey Chevy was so good there at the start, then towards the end it was a bit tight, but we were still in a position to get a good finish. Wish our result would have shown the race we had. Proud of my 88 team for bringing another rocket ship." His body language said it all. Disappointed, but composed. Still proud, still focused. NASCAR confirmed that 11 cars were involved, making it one of the biggest pileups in Las Vegas Motor Speedway's Cup Series history. The full list: Van Gisbergen, Ty Gibbs, Ross Chastain, Austin Dillon, Carson Hocevar, Cody Ware, Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott, Todd Gilliland, Zane Smith, and AJ Allmendinger. A crash of that scale doesn't just end races, it shakes confidence, and it reshuffles playoff dynamics for every driver involved. SVG wasn't just a victim of bad luck, he was collateral in a playoff war. Though he's not in the playoffs himself, his presence in the top 10 disrupted the established order. His pace was a wild card, and that made him both a threat and a target. In NASCAR, where every point counts, the aggressive moves from playoff drivers trying to protect their position can lead to chaos. SVG got caught in that crossfire. This wasn't just about one driver's bad day. SVG's performance before the crash sent a clear message to the entire Trackhouse Racing garage. He outqualified both Chastain and Suarez. He ran ahead of both in clean air. He showed that given the right setup, he could go toe-to-toe with the best on ovals. But racing is cruel. And with SVG ending his day in the garage while his teammates stayed on track, questions now loom. Will Trackhouse invest more heavily in SVG next season? Or will they hesitate, citing this wreck as a reason to stay conservative? Crashes don't just wreck cars, they rattle confidence. SVG has proven he can bounce back, but after a wreck this severe, the next race becomes a mental test as much as a physical one. Can he trust the car? Can he make aggressive moves without flashing back to Vegas? Veteran drivers talk about the importance of short-term memory. To be great in NASCAR, you have to forget fast, because fear, even a trace of it, can slow you down. Next weekend, SVG heads to Talladega Superspeedway, the sport's ultimate gamble. Superspeedway racing is unpredictable, dangerous, and often brutal. It's the kind of place where anyone can win or be wrecked at 200 miles per hour with no warning. After Vegas, Talladega becomes even more critical. SVG needs a clean race. He needs a finish. And most importantly, he needs to regain momentum. There's also a broader narrative at play. If SVG runs well at Talladega, it proves Vegas was a fluke. But if he crashes again, that becomes the story. Van Gisbergen's 5 wins this season all came on road or street courses. That's impressive. But in the world of NASCAR, ovals are the heart of the calendar. To be a full-season contender, SVG must evolve. Vegas was supposed to be proof of that evolution. Instead, it left fans and critics with more questions than answers. Still, one thing's for sure. He's not backing down. The truly great drivers aren't defined by clean seasons. They're defined by how they respond when everything goes wrong. SVG's career is at a crossroads. He's shown flashes of brilliance. He's earned respect. But now he has to prove he can take the hits and keep climbing. That's what separates legends from one-hit wonders. Las Vegas was supposed to be the celebration of SVG's progress. Instead, it became a painful reminder of how cruel this sport can be. But SVG isn't done. Not even close. He's got speed, he's got fight, and after Vegas, he's got something else, a reason to come back even stronger. Because when NASCAR knocks you down, there's only one way forward. You get back in the car, and you go faster. Talladega awaits. Stay tuned.